Hello and welcome to WD18, the Watford fan channel. It's finished. Hull City 1, Watford 2 in Hull. We're not in Hull at the moment. We're recording in several locations across the world, and hopefully a number of you are going to get involved in the live chat today. A massive win for Watford away from home, and in the last 9 games, that's now 5 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss. So we're looking good. 3 points off the playoffs. Could we be on our way? Anyway, on today's show is myself, Jacob Coleshaw, Sam Yuko, and Charlie Momentum Barzazera. Really look forward to this, lads. Just firstly, how are we feeling, Sam? You've just booked Preston on the impulse, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. So good whenever Watford win, and obviously in the manner that we did, we'll get into it today, it was just absolutely fantastic. Can't stop smiling. Decided to book Preston. I think, I can't lie, I'm a bit of an unlucky charm because Watford's 2 away wins this season are the 2 away games that I've missed. So I don't think many people will be too happy that I have booked Preston, but as soon as we won it, I managed to get my ticket and my coach ticket sorted.
Charlie, you're going to Preston, right? Would you have done what Sam did after today and booked an away day based on that performance and result?
I'm not sure if I have done I've done a couple of impulsive buys in the Hornets shop after a win, but I don't know about tickets. But yeah, massive win today. Really, really good performance. So buzzing to be talking about it.
We have had messages coming through from Laura saying to stop Sam going to Preston.
I can only apologise already. Bit of a not FOMO, but I was just so happy, and wow, we'll get into it. But so many talking points today that it's a bit of a weird game actually. It was almost like it wasn't a classic, but there were a lot of big moments in there.
100%. And we'll get straight into it now. Thanks so much to everyone who's watching live. If you're listening to us on audio, make sure you do drop us a review, leave a like on the stream, subscribe to WD18. If you want to follow all of us on socials, you can see our @s just underneath us. And also the link is in the description below to follow us on @WD18fan. So lads, let's get straight into it. Huge win for Watford today. As I said at the top of the show, it's a great run of results for Watford in the last 9 matches. Charlie, just your initial thoughts, your feelings. How do you assess the game? It's about an hour after full time. So, yeah, how have you looked and how do you look at that win today?
Yeah, Sam said it's not a classic, but I just thought it was a really, really good game of Championship football. I know VAR. I thought the ref, although I was going mad at the end when he didn't give Bayo a foul, I thought the way he let play go made it a great game, quite end-to-end. But the thing that I'm just pleased about the most was Watford's performance. I think we've seen away from home, we've been either really bad and open or quite solid, but not very expansive. But I think today, and we've heard Val talking about it, he wants to be more attacking away from home. And I thought we really saw that. We broke through the lines really well, especially in the first half, created chances. And yeah, it looks like we're a team. Like we're fighting for the win in the end. Yeah, I think that was definitely our performance of the season so far.
Sam, agree? Performance of the season?
Yeah, definitely. By not a classic, before, just to clarify more, what I meant was there were sort of quite large moments in the game where not much was happening. It just got a bit scrappy. I sort of think the last half an hour of the first bit of the second half was a bit scrappy and not too much happened, but so many flashpoints that previously I don't think Watford would have dealt well with at all in terms of being pegged back straight after scoring, giving away a penalty that I don't think was a penalty, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was a good decision from the ref. Managing Ben Hamer with a fantastic save, managing to hold on, weather the storm from Hull, and managing to score an absolutely outrageous winner as well. And I mean, I know you mentioned, Charlie, as well about the ref letting the game flow. I agree. I quite liked it, but there were some moments where I was just thinking, ref, come on, blow the whistle, like the Bayo one towards the end as well, where he was almost rugby tackled to the ground. But previously, I don't think Watford teams would have dealt well with those sort of setbacks in games. And I think you're right because of that performance of the season so far.
Yeah, I guess there's there's quite a bit to get into in this game. I guess we'll take it right back to the start with the lineup, Charlie. So it was unchanged from the win in midweek against Norwich. We touched on it there in the last episode where we basically said, like, look, Watford reacted really, really well. And we did the same again today. So just on the lineup as a whole, the big call was Ben Hamer starting between the sticks. Daniel Batman came back in on the bench. Is that a Val masterclass there? Keeping with him?
Interesting call considering Val made Daniel Batman the club captain at the start of the season. And I don't think Hamer was amazing against Norwich, but the fact that he stuck with him. So I don't know if we've heard about Val considering the captaincy and stuff. I don't know if he's going to reverse that decision. So, but I think Hamer was a lot better today. His penalty save obviously crucial to the win. And I haven't watched it back, but at the time I thought that is a really good save. Got down low, and I just felt he was a bit more dominating today than he was against Norwich. So for me, he keeps the shirt. But big call from Val, and it paid off. So I'm happy.
I have to say one thing I watched, but when I watched it back, the Hamer save, if you see his starting position, he starts obviously central, but he makes a slight move to his left. To then launch himself over to the right, which makes the save even more impressive. So he actually started slightly left of centre when he makes the save. And to get that far across for a keeper who isn't the tallest of keepers, I'd say, when you look at other keepers in the league, there's a lot taller. The reach he gets to make that save, because it wasn't a bad penalty by any stretch. Hamer at that point in the game, Sam. Just going back, though, we mentioned that call. Do you think that's now it on the goalkeeper debate? Do you think that's now going forward, Hamer's going to be the number one for Watford?
Difficult question. You can't drop him after that performance. I think it would be incredibly harsh if Dan Batman came back in the team, and I don't think he will for the time being, at least. Not just the penalty save, which going forward on the analysis a bit as well. The fact that he was able to parry it so far wide and out of danger as well was just to get power on the wrist like that, like you say, Jacob, when he's starting to one side already, just fantastic. But other saves as well in the first half, one where he tipped it over the bar. Came off it. I thought he was really brave off his line, coming out and claiming things, punching the ball away, offering experience, I think, as well. I talk about the intangibles, offering those intangibles as well to the team. And like I say, he didn't have the best game against Norwich, but today, just absolutely fantastic. And I think that for the time being, at least, I'd be very surprised if he brought Batman back into the team.
I have to say that's a great point about that Sam made about when Hamer made the saves, when he came off his line, and even just like at the end he took the yellow card because he just wanted to slow the game down a little bit. Sometimes you just got to do that, and I think that was really clever play in general. And Taylor mentions it in the comment section just on Hamer. He's so much better with his feet. Ian says the pen save was amazing today. But going back onto the lineup, Charlie, Geordie mentions in the comment section, no Martins again was interesting, but Val clearly got it spot on. Interestingly enough, do you think the team he's put out there is the team that will look to probably... There might be some tweaks, but do you think that body of the team is going to be the one we see going forward now after the last couple of results?
I think so. I think Val's got that. He's worked hard to try and navigate into finding out what his starting 11 is. But I think now, if you look at every position, I think everyone justifies their shout. Rajovic, I said to you guys, I actually think it was his best game kind of linking up. I thought he held the ball, not perfect, not by any means, but I thought he held it up well. He did a really good chance in the first half where he kind of got to the ball, laid it off to Kone. I don't know if the pass could have been a bit better, but Kone skied it. So I thought Rajovic was good. Sema and Lewis looked really, really dangerous down that left side. And Sam mentioned Lewis, but I think he's got better and better. He probably should have scored that chance in the second half. He hits it high, which the keeper saved. But when you look back, it's a really good save. But yeah, look around the pitch. There's one player who I wanted to talk about, but I think now we've come across a really strong team, but not just a strong team, like a strong squad, because I thought the subs they brought on, I thought Ince, although I'm not Ince's biggest fan, I thought for this moment it was really clever because he's obviously a more experienced player. I thought he'd done his defensive job really well where Ryan Andrews was up against Jaden Philogene, who was pretty dangerous all day. So I thought Bio was really good, just keeping their goalkeeper honest and kind of closing down. So I think we shouldn't, although we're used to subs and that, I think we've come across 11, but now I think we are seeing a team, which is something that we've been crying out for, and I'm really pleased about.
And one of the key components, really, of that team now is Eddie Kiembe, who got on the score sheet early doors.
And I like the way you move.
When that goal went in, Charlie, I did actually think of you straight away because I was going to tweet out and I thought, am I going to go for that one or ain't nobody like Kiembe? One thing I would say about that goal, just in general, Sam, Tyler Morton had a header in the opening the first minute. And from that point onwards, Watford then started to feel their way into the game. They were passing it well. They were building it up through the possession. And then it was that one move, wasn't it, where I think, if I remember correctly, Hull on the transition, Kone makes a great tackle to win the ball back. And then that link up between Sema and Lewis was all game actually was really fluid and just seems to be building every time we see them play. But Kiembe popping up in the right place at the right time, just on his development at Watford, because some people have called it the redemption arc of Kiembe. He's been a bit like this at Watford, but now it kindly feels like it's a steady trajectory, which is only going upwards.
Yeah, 100%. You're right there. He's been here now, this is third year, I want to say, since he's been here, and it's been very up and down throughout. I thought last year he started the season poorly, then came in against Luton, was really, really good, had a couple of good games and sort of dropped in and out for the rest of the season, a few injury problems here and there. But this season, since he's come in, the trajectory has just been like that. Like you say, it's been absolutely brilliant to see. I think what he offers us is so much balance in the middle of the park, where he's able to break up play. He's improving with the ball at his feet. He's able to drive the ball forward. He's able to sit defensively. And his second goal in 4 games now, 4 or 5 games after his goal against Rotherham. Right place, right time. Composure to take that touch and finish when there were past the goalkeeper, when there were a couple of players on the line, I think, as well. So delighted for Kiembe. Absolutely fantastic yet again today. He's one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment, I think.
Just one more thing on Kiembe, which I was really impressive and surprised about. In the 90th minute, we're trying to see out the game, just on the byline, and suddenly he's got this real burst of pace down the line to kind of get us up pitch, which I didn't expect. He looks a really, really good player, great on the ball. So happy to see Edo kind of getting his flowers.
100%, and it's echoed in the comment section. Snugs says it's nice to finally see a team with grit like that. Edu sprinting up to the corner flag at the end of the game to manage the game out is something of beauty. Taylor says Kiembe has always been underappreciated. Geordie says, I would call him the Congolese Zidane, but it would be insulting to Kiembe.
It's Edinho, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Val calls Edinho. Surin in the comment section, great to see you, mate. Glad we have persisted with Kiembe. And Gary makes a great point. I feel like Kiembe will be missed when he goes to AFCON in January. That's something definitely to look out for, and whether Watford will be active in the transfer market in that position. And Nick says Kiembe has turned into prime Iniesta under Val. So look, the love is there for Kiembe in the comment section, and rightly so, because his performance recently anyway, but particularly today was magnificent. The reaction though, Sam, actually, Charlie, I'll throw over to this one to you, because we mentioned the reaction on the last show, which was really good from Watford. Not to say it was bad for the goal, but where did it go wrong? Because it was such a quick turnaround. Kiembe scored at the other end. I've checked the screen again, and they're on the attack, and Hull have scored and equalised. So yeah, what actually happened there, do you think?
I think you should throw this one to Sam, because I was too busy trying to get a screen grab of Val calling Edo Kiembe Edinho. So I didn't actually see their goal.
Did you find it?
Porteous got pulled out of position, didn't he? And Wesley Hoot made one of his fantastic interceptions, but it just fell nicely to Scott Twine, who finished well. But Sam, do you know a bit more about the build-up?
Yeah, I think Livermore could have been a bit stronger there in the build-up, to be honest with you. I've been one of Livermore's biggest fans recently, and he's been fantastic. I'd say that what showed today with his performance was that he is 34 years old, and I think that 3 games in a week is unrealistic, I think, to expect him to play at the highest level 3 times a week. So it's an area to address in January, bringing in cover for Livermore, or even an upgrade as well. But I thought he still had a good game on the whole. But Ryan Porteous, middle of nowhere, again. To be honest, he was brilliant in the second half. I must caveat that. I just thought in the first half, all over the place again. We mentioned about whether this is Val's most settled team. I'd still quite like to see Sierralta in there over Porteous. I think we look a lot more settled at the back. But I think today's game was Porteous in a nutshell. Inconsistent within the game itself. Had some absolutely brilliant moments. A massive block in the second half. A brilliant challenge. But the first half was just all over the place. And I still think that's an area of concern, to be honest.
Organised chaos, would you say, Charlie?
I was going to pass it over to you, Jacob, because I thought this was one of Porteous's better games. I don't know if the bar's low, but it was a bit. Oh, Jacob's not having it. We know exactly what we're going to get with Porteous. He's going to be like 100% full throttle, like he's aggressive. I thought there was a period of time where they were playing to that and popping it into kind of Liam Delap to try and bring him out to create space elsewhere. But I thought on the majority, if we were doing player ratings, he'd probably get like a 7 for me, because I thought on the whole, I think he won the majority of his duels and those tackles and headers. And I thought it was one of his better performances. Jacob, you having it? Are you still team Francisco?
No, I'd probably side towards what Sam said about first half was all over the shop, I have to say. I think his positional play, even to the point where he was coming out from centre-back and pressing really, really high. And whether he's been asked to do that by Val, I'm not too sure. But I think he did a very similar thing last season where he kind of just likes contact with the player. I feel like when he's not having a duel or he's not being physical with a player, he doesn't really like it. I think he needs that a little bit. So first half, I would say all over the shop. Second half, I thought he stepped up. I think that's probably the phrase I'd use, stepped up, because when you've had such a poor half like he did in the first half, to then play as well as he did in the second half, and then having to play right back at the end, the way he managed the game, I thought he did well. One thing I would say, his reaction to Hull missing a penalty was absolutely phenomenal. Shouting,
what did he do?
He basically, when he missed the penalty, he just went up into his face and just started like screaming unnecessarily. And the one thing he said, Porteous, look, he's chaos, but I'll always appreciate the shithousery that man gives, because it's phenomenal.
That was just one thing that I've just looked at that I want to give him a bit of credit for is his passing. I think that's improved in recent weeks, passing into midfield, getting us up the third, and he had an 87% pass completion, which isn't too bad. I wanted to give Porto a shout out because I think he has got a bit of shit recently, but I thought today was one of his better games.
Yeah, I think just 2 points here. Firstly, on the shithousery, there was also one later in the game as well where I think he was he went down for a foul or something and pretended he got hit in the face by the whole play trying to get him up and went down for a couple of seconds more. So absolutely loved that. But thinking about it now as well, I'd probably 50% agree with you, Charlie. I think the second half was the best we've seen of Porteous this season. And the fact he was able to pick himself up after he probably knew it was a really poor first half from himself was brilliant to see.
100%. I think one thing to say with that penalty was the Van Nistelrooy Keown treatment, which you can't go wrong with. Anyway, moving on. Just in terms of so 1-1 at that stage. Just overall in that first half, Sam, how are you feeling going into it? Are we saying that's one of the best halves from Watford in the season? Is it too far to say that, do you think?
The best. I thought that first half. I thought we were absolutely great. I put it on our group chat. I thought genuinely, I know we were drawing the game, and I think there were moments where we were letting it drift a bit, and there are still lots of areas to improve on. But I thought that first half was absolutely brilliant. I thought the shape looked really, really good most of the time. I think the fullbacks were getting involved, getting really high up, pressing, getting the ball as well, which is ultimately where we scored the goal from. Midfielders were pushing on and also gave defensive cover as well. I thought Rajovic's all-round play for the only number 9 up top was brilliant. So yeah, I thought that first half was the best, or one of the best we've seen of Watford this season. Second half might not have been as good, but there was still enough there to hold out and score an absolutely ridiculous goal to win it as well.
There were two. Sorry.
I did just want to highlight Hull, like they're 6th in the league, and Rosenior's been there like the majority of last season as well. And I found, the saying like in boxing that styles make fights. That's why I thought it was a really good game, because we were quite expansive, but they were quite expansive. So that's why when the transitions happened, it was kind of back and forth and really exciting. Let me just quickly get the stats up, because I wanted to obviously get the momentum bar out, but I just wanted to highlight how
Charlie should change his name to his middle name to Momentum Bar.
Obviously, the momentum bar here, you can see in the first half, we're in the blue, back and forth, which was really exciting. Second half, I did feel like it kind of drifted, didn't it? Towards them, they missed the penalty, but then we came back. I don't know if that was with the subs, but we had some good opportunities, like Lewis, who should have scored, but. Like you said, first half, I thought we were better. We might have rode our luck at times, but I still think it was a really good away performance. They beat us on the XG quite convincingly, but that's probably down to the penalty. And Wesley Hood's goal was probably 0.01 XG. They had more ball possession. Away from home, having 10 shots, 4 on target is not bad. They've had 23. But yeah, that was merely the game. The only other thing I wanted to highlight was Wesley Hood. So I don't know if I should do that now or wait a bit.
Do you know what? Before we just touch on that, those two big moments, which is obviously the penalty and Hood's absolute worldie, which I didn't have on my 23-24 bingo card. One thing I was going to say about the expansive nature of both teams, which as a neutral, if you're watching this game, it's probably one of the better games to watch in the Championship today. I just wanted to touch on the referee, who was giving absolutely nothing both ways, if we're being completely honest. There was a few times where you're like, that should be a foul, that should be a foul, but he was letting it go. So, lads, did you think he managed the game well? Because we don't normally touch on the ref, but actually, I couldn't believe how much he let go today.
I think it was probably fair for both teams, because I think both teams got away with quite a few 50-50s that perhaps went a bit wrong. Certainly one of the most interesting refereeing performances, but I quite liked it, other than, like I said at the start of the video, towards the end where there were a couple of blatant ones where Bayo got rugby tackled when he was through on goal. And I thought the penalty was incredibly harsh. We'll go on to it in a minute, but I thought
we'll do it now, Sam.
Yeah, I just think it was so harsh, the penalty. I know Livermore sticks his leg out, which is where the argument will come from. But I just think the contact was...
It's a penalty for me.
I think it's a pen.
I just think... I don't know, just something about it. I can't really put my finger on it.
Because he's in a Watford shirt?
Most probably, yeah. But I think...
The question is,
I don't like the phrase buying the foul, because I think Livermore sticks his leg out ultimately. But I just think that I just thought the whole player who won it did buy the foul, went into Livermore a bit as well, knew the contact was coming. I'd probably expect more from Livermore as well, because a player with that experience, that was clumsy from him, but just a bit harsh for me, to be honest.
The question is, Sam, if you flip it, would you be wanting a penalty for that? And I definitely would be.
I'd be screaming for it. That's football for you, I suppose.
Yeah, I think also, I always think with those big decisions, what was the reaction of all the Watford players? And bar Livermore, who I felt was more frustrated actually about the fact he got sucked in to make the contact rather than the decision itself. Like, you could see him almost beating himself up in his head. So in the end, as you say, Sam, it was a bit naive from such an experienced player like Livermore. I don't think that taints his performance or tarnishes it to that extent. I think maybe if it had gone in, we'd probably look at it a little bit differently. And the reason it didn't go in, as we mentioned at the top of the show, was Ben Hamer with a big save. We touched on that at the top of the show, so we won't redo that. But at that point, Charlie, momentum-wise, did you feel that it swung a little bit? Did you feel it was Val's substitutions that maybe got us a little bit of control back in the game?
Yeah, I remember in the second half thinking it reminded me a bit of the Leicester game, how we were okay in the first half, and then it was just like going towards more Hull. Yeah, I think that did give us a bit of a boost, but I think that just shows, like I said, the togetherness, the team spirit. But I did think Val's substitutions were really, really savvy, especially Ince to help us defensively. Even bringing Pollock on, who I thought did well when he came on. I think Porto went at right back, didn't he? Probably kicked Philly Jean a couple of times, but I just thought those subs were great, and we did have moments. We've talked about the Lewis chance in the second half, which I actually think he probably should score if he keeps it low. And I thought Bayo did well, but yeah, I think Ben Hamer deserves massive credit for that. Well, what's the Ben Hamer song?
And I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it. Like it, we go.
Super Ben Hamer.
I have to ask you, lads, what did you think of Watford fans singing "Stunned by the Hornets" to the Hull fans?
Great banner. Great banner. It's very ironic. Come on.
Very good.
I haven't looked at the TikTok, but I imagine there's some people going to be like, "Oh, how cringe!" But it's an ironic chant, isn't it? So it's great tackle from the Watford fans.
If you haven't seen the video, it's on our socials at WD18 fans, TikTok, Twitter, Insta. Make sure you do go and check it out. And then it was a big moment, Sam. 74 minutes. The man, the myth, the legend, the beautiful, gorgeous Wesley Theodorus Hoot picks up the ball just inside the whole half, and just pings it into the top right-hand corner. Ryan Alsop, who actually, if you look at his starting position, was pretty high, and Val just said in his post-match before we went on air that they had assessed that and analysed his starting position, and he wasn't surprised that Hoot, number one, went for it, and number two, scored. So what was your reaction when it went in? I went absolutely mental. I think I haven't gone as mental at a goal since at home, obviously, since Adam Messina at Cardiff.
I knew you were going to say that. Living room limbs.
Yeah. I literally screamed when it went in. I was so confused. They were like more confused than anything else. I was like, what? Because also I mean, it sort of just dropped in. And I spoke to someone who was at the game today as well, and they all thought, the Watford fans for a sec were as confused as I was at home, because it looked like apparently the ball had sort of gone behind the goal. They all thought it had gone over, and they only realised it had gone in when Hoot turned around and celebrated with one of the coldest Watford celebrations you will ever see. Just like that. Jude Bellingham has posters of Wesley Hoot on his bedroom wall. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant goal. Allsop was high throughout the game as well. He was coming out his goal quite quickly a few times. So really good to see that he was caught out. It's something as well that we've spoken about a few times, but Val in that mic'd up video was telling everyone, shoot, like if there's an opportunity, shoot. And I guarantee you that one of the reasons why Wesley Hoot had that shot was because it's so ingrained in them now from training from the last few weeks. And we're seeing it more and more, Watford players taking ambitious shots. So I think it's also a consequence of what Val's teaching them in training. But what a moment, what a finish, what a goal.
Charlie, is that goal of the season?
Absolutely. Quick poll, Jacob, and one for you two as well. Whose goal was better? Ismaila Sarr against West Brom last season or Wesley Hoot? Who was further out, who was further out?
Sarr was further, I think.
I think Sarr was further, but the starting position of the keeper was so high that it was a bit more of a like the timing of Hoot, and also I think the fact he won the ball back with an interception, and then just first thought was like, I'm going to look up and ping it. He didn't really. I think it was just an instinctive thing. Whereas I think with Sarr, he kind of had a chance to look up, see where the keeper was. He's off his line. Obviously, both absolutely unbelievable strikes. But I think also you've got to mention a centre-back doing that is unheard of. Like, we almost take for granted some of Hoot's technique, because I think for a centre-back, he's got really good ball striking. And so I kind of wasn't, I was absolutely shocked, but we see him pinging balls left, right and centre every single week. So I think it's got to be Wesley Hoot for me over Sarrs against West Brom.
One thing that I wanted to talk about, because I thought Hoot was having an absolutely unbelievable game before that, defensively. And you know, sometimes when you're watching a game and you think, oh, he's playing really well, but then you look at the stats and they don't really correlate. When I looked at Wesley Hoot's stats, they are as impressive as the eye test showed. Goals 1, obviously. Expected goals 0.03. Clearances 7. Interceptions 3. I think there was a big one on Philly Jean who kind of broke through in the second half. Tackles 5. Ground duels, he won 6 out of 8. Aerial duels 100%, 6 out of 6. Touches 83. 86% pass accuracy. I thought he was absolutely colossal. And that goal was just the cherry on the cake. And like when Sam was analysing it, I was watching it, and you know, he like, oh, that's a decent effort. But the keeper didn't look like he was that worried. And you're like, hang on, it's dropping. And yeah, the laptop almost got thrown into next door. It was unbelievable. I think we saw who at the beginning of the season be really good, and he kind of had a bit of a drop off. I think in recent weeks, he's been really, really impressive. And today, I think one of his better performances of the season, and it was great to see him wearing that R-band today as well. He really rose to the occasion.
Absolutely. So we touched on there, Sam, a goal of the season shout. Is there an argument to say that Hoot's been our player of the season so far?
Oh, it's difficult, that.
That's a great comment.
I think definitely. I mean, there's been quite a few sort of good players this season who have been a bit inconsistent. I look at the likes of Ken Sema, who's had a really good season. I think Kayembe in Livermore, you have to throw in there as well. Ryan Andrews. I think he's definitely been right up there. Probably say so far it's a toss-up between him and Ken Sema. I think Hoot might just edge it based on today, though. I'm not sure what you two both think.
I think he probably does. Maybe it's a bit of recency bias coming in after I've just seen him ping one from 50 yards. But I think with Sema, you feel that there's probably more of like a consistent level with performances. With Hoot this season, he's just raised his game a lot more probably than last season as well. And I think, Charlie, we both I think we said at the start of the season, we both had doubts about Hoot, really, because obviously he's not the quickest of centre-backs. But what you see this season a bit more from my perspective is his positioning is really good. I think actually he's thriving in that leadership role as well. I think there's some players that actually probably step up their performances when they've got the responsibility of being either a captain or a leader in the dressing room.
Chalobah in the promotion season, when he had the armband, 10 times better. Reminds me of that a bit, I think.
I have to say though, Charlie, is there an argument to say he should be captain now going forward? If let's just say Haim is now going to be starting permanently, would you make that transition if possible?
Yeah, I think a lot of people spoke about Livermore, but Livermore's going to be a leader on the pitch anyway. He doesn't need an armband. Do you know what I mean, to certify that? So I think Wesley Hoot, whenever he stepped in, he's led by example, which is exactly what you want. He's been our strongest centre half of the season. Like Geordie said with a great comment, he's probably been our player of the season. Hasn't he got the most accurate long balls or the most long balls in the Championship? Something like that?
The most interceptions as well.
Yeah, and he's just a really gorgeous man. And yeah, today was to have the audacity to pull that out. Like you said, and it's one for probably wider football community, but show me a centre-half who scored from that far out. Has there been a centre-half who scored from that far out in history? We'll see. I'll put it on a social and see if anyone can challenge that. I remember Mangor Figueroa for Wigan.
At Stoke away?
I think he's a left-back, so that doesn't count. But
yeah, and also doing it at Watford.
That was Stoke away, wasn't it? Yeah.
Stoke away. I think it might have been like 2011, 12.
This is one for happy hunting grounds football cliches, if anyone's a fan.
Premier League years in its prime. This.
Oh wow, that is prime shout. I have to say also one thing. I've just watched it back again. The audacity of Ryan Alsop going ballistic at his defenders for letting Hoot have a 40-yard strike.
That's a man who knows he's.
He literally sees the ball and starts giving it effing and blinding to the rest of the whole team. And Watford managed to see it out, Sam, a 2-1 win. Just that last period of the game. I think one thing that Charlie mentioned, if I remember correctly at the top of the show, was game management. And Tom Ince did it well when he came on, but particular players, Kiembe with that run towards the end, even Bayo, managed to do that as well. Even though it's tough when you're up on like as a lone striker trying to see the game out, it's a tough gig, especially coming on. But we managed to withstand the pressure. But did you at any point you feel that it wasn't? Did you feel at any point that Watford weren't going to win the game then? Because Val changed it a bit, didn't he? He went to 3 at the back. He brought on Sear out. He brought on Pollock. He went really defensive, a 5-4-1 towards the end. It was good management, obviously, clearly. But did you feel at any point that you were panicking a little bit?
I'm always panicking with Watford in the last 10 minutes or so when we're winning. You guys did an excellent job on the review after the Norwich game, mentioned the Watford wobble, which often comes in the last 5-10 minutes. And while I was sort of worried about it, and I did think there were a few moments where we perhaps let them get the ball in or move it through the thirds a bit too easily, I think on the whole we avoided it quite well, and that comes down to the game management. I thought Bayo was excellent when he came on, really, really good in a role that I think he really suits in terms of coming on, pressing high up, really bringing energy to the front line. Ince, who was, I thought, excellent as well when he came on. I did slightly worry that we'd made that substitutions defensively a bit early with Sierrata and Pollock in terms of changing it all up for the last 10 minutes, but it all paid off. So credit to Val, who I thought, on the whole, smashed it today. So fair play to him.
Overall, Charlie, that leaves us 3 points off the playoffs.
We're so back.
It is amazing how the narrative around Watford changes. As I said at the top of the show, Watford's last 9 games, 5 wins, 3 draws, and 1 defeat. And that 1 defeat came away against top of the table Leicester City. I put the message that Val is cooking. What do you think? If you can't see it, it's Charlie putting his hand up with a frying pan.
Did our last defeat, was that Sunderland away when he locked them all in the change room for an hour? I've been really pleasantly surprised by Val. I remember when he got appointed, I don't think I was that excited. I thought we were going to see a completely different style of play. I was really excited when what I saw against QPR, Plymouth, this style of play, which I didn't think we were going to see at Vicarage Road in a million years. We had some bumps along the road, but the way he keeps adjusting has been really impressive. I thought today his game management's been impressive. He's bringing good vibes back to Watford. Look, I've said it all along. We're not going to get promoted this season, lads. We're not. I don't think. Could we? No, we're not. But yeah, I just think it's quite a big step from where we've come from, especially last season, what the club's been through in the last 2 or 3 seasons, to put together a team like this, which we're enjoying watching, shows a lot of fight. And for me, I feel like this season's been more enjoyable already than last season. What do you guys reckon?
100%. Yeah, definitely. I think before going into the tactical sort of things and perfecting a tactical style of play, the intangibles have to be there as the foundation in terms of desire, effort, heart, running. All four of those are absolutely massive. And you can't really go into any sort of tactical plans unless you have nailed those four. And those are the foundations of any performance. And that's what's there at the moment, because previously we've seen 2 games this week where Watford have been 2-0 down and have started games badly and come back and win 3-2. We see a game today where there are setbacks, where there's a penalty, there's Hull equalising quite quickly after we score, but the fight is there. And yes, there is still a long way to go in terms of perfecting Val Ball 2.0 or however Val wants to play. But the fact that those intangibles are there have made me ultimately fall back in love with Watford this season and this team as well. They're just growing on me by the week, and I'm delighted.
I think the interesting comparison is you make with last season, and I'd always take stability and effort over talent and disruption like we had last season. As you guys mentioned, we've got a team there who are playing for each other, which is just great to see. That some of the individuals might not be as talented as the ones we had last season, but I think what you're getting now is a better team overall. We've got players who are buying into what the manager's trying to do. And it's just a really enjoyable time to be going to a Watford game, knowing that you know what you're going to get, even when, I think the one thing I would say, just as a whole, is I think we just need to maybe... Now, I don't think it's been talked about how well we've done over the last 9 games, actually. I think it's gone under the radar. When you look at the form we've been playing in, it wasn't long ago in midweek when we played Norwich and we were 2-0 down and people were singing, "You're useless, you're this, that and the other." And then we managed to turn it around, and you think, okay, 2 wins in a week, obviously the defeat at Leicester, but 2 wins back to back. And then you look at the table going, okay, we're looking up rather than downwards. And if you'd said to me after that first international break, I think we were 21st in the league, Val was given a new contract, and it could have been quite easy to panic there and get rid of him. And I think it just shows if you give the manager a little bit of time and a little bit of an opportunity to show that he's going in the right direction, then, this is what you can get. And I'm not saying this is the done deal. I have no idea what we're going to finish this season. We're not going to get promoted, but it's enjoyable being a Watford fan at the moment, and particularly the performances we've seen over the last 9 games or so. So, lads, just final thoughts. As Geordie says, we're 3rd on the form table. Looking ahead to next week, what do we reckon? It's more of the same. Would you keep it the same? Anything?
Sam, did you get my email about my prediction this week? 2-1 Watford against Hull.
I didn't actually check it, to be fair, but if it did come through, I can't tell if you're joking here, to be fair, because your form has been really good this week, recently with the predictions.
Just asking, we mentioned it on the last show, but what's happened with the predictions?
Geordie's comment is 3rd on the form table, and he's referring to the prediction league with Charlie.
We'll get back on it. Yeah,
so
that's my bad. But.
Southampton next week, who are really picking up form under Russell Martin. I guess this is Ian's question in the comment section. How many points would you lads be happy with from the next 3 games, Southampton, Ipswich and Preston?
2 huge tests in there. 3 huge tests, sorry. But I'm looking at those first 2 particularly, the 2 home games. 2 opportunities to make massive statements, I think. I think if we can... Yeah.
Pass over to me first. I was waiting for you. Ipswich. I don't know if you've seen Wes Burns' goal today.
Oh,
naughty. Ipswich, Southampton are cooking. Preston lost to QPR last night. They were pretty bad. I would be okay with 3. I'd be happy with 4. Is that a bit negative? I don't know.
No, I think it's been realistic as well. I don't think we're going to get overboard about today in the sense that it's a great win for Watford. It's a massive win away from home. But, on another day, the penalty scored, who doesn't go for the effort. I think probably on the balance of play, I probably would have said a draw is a fair result if I'm being completely fair.
I'd have been happy with the draw as well. When we took the lead, I was like, if we concede, I'd be a bit like...
I completely agree. So we've had 5 points, 9 points. Sam, from the next 3 games?
I'm going to go 3 points. Again, I don't want to sound too pessimistic. I just think it's 3 huge tests, and it's easy to get carried away with Watford's recent form because it is brilliant. But I think obviously we know it's been a roller coaster this season. There are going to be some bumps in the road, and it's 3 really tough games, particularly those 2 home games. So I'm going to say 3 points.
All right, but if we beat Southampton, could we?
Ask me after Southampton. Look, what I would say is my expectations change if we beat Southampton and Ipswich. If we come away from those 2 games with 4 points, then I'm going, okay, it could be a playoff push. That's a statement. If you're beating Ipswich, one of the best teams in the league, if you're beating an informed Southampton, then I think you then start to look at it differently. Coming up to a January transfer window where with a few additions, we could be talking. But I'll see what Southampton.
Just supporting Watford, though, it's a complete roller coaster. Literally, 3-4 weeks ago, we're nervously looking, at least I was nervously looking over my shoulder.
Not me, mate.
I never thought we'd get relegated, but you do have those slight worries occasionally where I am just thinking, all right, we probably do need to get a few more points here to become comfortable. Now, all of a sudden, we're looking up thinking, all right, beat Southampton and Ipswich, and we could really be onto something here. So, yeah, just what a club to support. What a season so far, and I can't wait for the rest of it.
Next 2 games against 4th in the league and 2nd in the league. So we'll really find out about that Watford team after those couple of games. And also, some people have mentioned this is a perfect opportunity to have a cup run, obviously with the FA Cup coming up in January. That's something to keep an eye on. Lads, just final thoughts on today. How are you spending the rest of your Saturday, Charlie? Charlie walked in with a beverage in his hands. It looked quite big. Is there alcohol in there?
Yeah, there is. Gin Diesel. I think I'm going to celebrate with maybe a kebab. I've been good this week, so I might just a little cheeky trip around the corner to the kebab shop. We got a couple of football games, maybe Strictly. Yeah, life is good when Watford win.
Kebab, Strictly, and football. Sam, can you beat that?
Mine's a bit more boring, to be fair. Being in final year uni, I'm on to the dissertation this evening. So,
what's your dissertation on? Watford away from home.
Well, it is actually, to be fair, it is on love poetry. So I will be hopefully reading a few things about Wesley Hoot this evening.
Sam just writes, "Do not scratch your eyes." Line in his dissertation. I can't believe we've had 2 ends of the spectrum there. We've had kebab, Strictly, and football, and a dissertation. Jesus.
What are you doing, Jacob?
Yeah, what am I doing?
Are you drinking? What have you got?
Do you know what? I'm just on the lime and soda at the minute, but I might go on to maybe the Ribena after this just to celebrate. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to wrap up today. Big win for Watford. We move up to 10th in the league, 27 points. Southampton next week. We are cooking, baby. Thanks so much to everyone. Make sure you do check out the Mad Squirrel as well. This episode is brought to you, as all the episodes are, by the Mad Squirrel, just 7 minutes away from Vicarage Road. So make sure you head down there, hopefully after the Watford win against Southampton.
Their Christmas festival starts on Friday. They've got live music Friday, Saturday, Sunday, festive food, obviously the best beer in Watford. And yeah, I'm going to try and get down there for Ipswich if you guys are about.
I'm so keen. I'd also say with the Mad Squirrel, if you fancy a late night celebration, that might be the place to be tonight. Getting a pint of sumo. Sam, Charlie, what a pleasure. Thanks to everyone who's watched and listened to this WD18 episode. Make sure you do leave a like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts, leave your review, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and up the audits.
You want?